Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Hopefully you are doing fine. In today's session, I'm going to talk about the bias-free language in academic writing. When we have a look at the language or linguistic biasness that is reflected in three different areas, it's related to gender, that is called as sexism, it is related to racism or ageism as well. It is also related to some kind of diseases and disability. So let's look at this idea and the concept. What is a bias free language? Some people feel neutral or unbiased language encroaches on their freedom of speech. Others believe that it should be mandated. How you use language outside the academic forum is up to you. However, the use of unbiased language in academic literature is sometimes necessary to avoid insulting your reader or inadvertently politicizing your work, both of which can divert attention from your main argument. Apart from not being politically correct, many dated words and phrases can simply feel jarring or distracting in the flow of your writing. Writing in unbiased language can be adjustment, but it is an important part of learning how to write in an academic tone within your discipline. Use dictionaries and your subject areas style guides such as MLA, APA, or Chicago to help you identify and choose bias free language. You have finished a draft of your paper, you might want to use your word processor's find editing function to identify any biased terms you may have missed. Some desktop grammar checkers also have the ability to point out these kinds of errors for you and suggest changes as well. So, in order to see what are these biases that we utilize and how these prejudices destroy the kind of image that we want to propagate through our writing. The first idea is related to ability. Ability, neutral language, refers to a person as an individual rather than defining the person by their disability. Since not all people with the same disability have the same concerns or personalities, it's important to relate this in your writing. So, when writing about people with disabilities, ensure that the words you use are factual, objective, and inclusive. Don't hesitate to seek advice from the organizations of the people with disabilities and how to report on, discuss, and write about disabilities. So, people could feel guilty, or people could feel insulted or embarrassed when using their or indicating their abilities or disabilities and referring them to as of having some kind of disability that people might feel ridiculed. People with disability rightly deserve the kind of respect given to them with the use of commonly accepted terms, especially in medical writing and the social sciences. A separation must be made between a given condition and the person who may not wish to be defined by disability. This can be accomplished by the person first language. Example such as people with disability can be categorized into having as kind of blind, cripple, handicapped, invalid, normal, or congenital defect, or epileptic, or mentally ill, or sufferer, or wheelchair bound. So, what should we do? Focus on the people rather than on their condition. Such as biased language would be, I met an epileptic on the bus today. Better idea or better expression would be I met a person with epilepsy on the bus today. So these principles are taken from the business advertisements and communication. So we have to use language with care, with utmost respect, and with utmost neutrality so that we may not be able to hurt someone's feeling. Another related concept related to language biasness or prejudices is related to racial or ethnic identity. Topics related to race are often integral to academic discussion, make an effort to use language for discussing race and ethnicity that is inclusive and respectful. This may require doing some additional reading and research to identify preferred terminology. Whenever possible, identify a person or group of people by their nationality. Archaic or insulting racial epithets should be simply avoided in academic writing, except only when absolutely imperative to use your these types of words in your topic. Also watch your capitalization. For example, capital I, that is in indigenous, refers to a person or culture. Small indigenous Small I in indigenous refers to a thing or a concept. So here capitalization also changes the meaning. I with capital in indigenous would relate to people, and I with small letter in indigenous would relate to things or concept. So beware that there are many examples of the racial terms and the which until recently were considered polite in English language but have no fallen out of favor. It's up to you as a writer to keep yourself informed about lexical shifts. For example, people call Australian people or native Australian people as Aborigine. Aboriginal or indigenous Australian would be better. Likewise, American Indian or native people prefer Aboriginal, Indigenous, or First Nations. Likewise, Caucasian is not preferred to European or white people. Similarly, East Indian people prefer South Asian. Likewise, Gypsy people would prefer traveler, Roma, or Romani. Jew people would prefer Jewish. Negro people would prefer African, African Canadian, or with some nationality with incorporation of black as capital. Likewise, Oriental people would prefer Asian or as of having East American people. So we need to carefully use these particular words in order to show them that how people prefer to be talked about or prefer to be mentioned. It's like mention a person's race only if it is relevant in the story. Likewise, the example would be biased one would be a strange black man spoke to me at the store. Better expression, a strange man spoke to me at the grocery store. So here the strange man with the particular word skipping black would be better. Beware of the preferred group terms like the bus of Oriental senior citizens took a detour. Only if the age and the race are relevant, the bus of Asian elder adults took a detour. So, Asian adults would be preferred by the people instead of calling them as Oriental seniors. That is a kind of ridiculing term. The third concept related to gender biasness is in the linguistic biasness. Changes in writing with regards to gender have become standard. Gender is considered as a spectrum that refers to a person's desire, pronouns, or outward appearance. Biological sex is binary and necessary for research in sciences, especially in medical literature. Some gender neutral language, such as suffix, Swapping has been around for decades. For example, businessman to businesswomen. Some gender switching terms have fallen out of the use, such as actor, actresses. Now people prefer actor. So care ought to be taken to refer to a man, woman, trans, or non binary person as such when necessary. But generalization or plurals, a gender neutral approach can also aid in building straightforward ideological impartial statement in your work. So, gender neutral language can be used in academic writing where gender of a person is unknown or unimportant. So, adopting gendered pronoun such as man, mankind is not preferred at all. People prefer humanity, humankind, or people. Similarly, in professions, policemen is not preferred, rather police officer is preferred, which is more inclusive. Likewise, mailman is rejected. Postal worker or mail carrier is preferred nowadays. Waiter, waitresses are not at all preferred, and server would be preferred. So the following sentence and that can be adopted in several ways. Like in my opinion, the impact of the media consumption on a person depends on his or her level of intake. So inclusive his and her should be adopted. Pluralize nouns or pronouns. In my opinion, the impact of media consumptions on people depends on their levels of intake. So theirs can also be adopted. They as singular person. In my opinion, the impact of the media consumption on a person depends on their level of intake. If the gender is to be avoided, then they and their is preferred nowadays. Passive verb forms, in my opinion, the effect of a person's media consumption varies depending on the intake level. Here you can skip the pronoun at all and then use one instead of he or she. That would be more generalized. Like in my opinion, the impact of the media consumption on a person depends on one's level of intake, that is preferred one. So let's see some more examples related to gender and see that how sexism where pluralism is utilized. So use word women in the context when and where you would use man or lady. Where would you use gentleman and the girl, like use you where you would use boy. For example, biased example would be I gave my name to the girl at the main desk. Better expression should be I gave my name to the woman at the desk. Use appropriate pronouns referring to the people that may be either male or female. Each manager must debrief his departments. That is a kind of derogatory and not preferable, unpreferable word which could be spelled or spoken in a better way. Each manager must debrief his or her department. Then here you can replace bias terms such as salesman or foreman with bias free norms. Biased one would be give your report to the committee chairman. Better example would be like give your report to the committee chair. So chairman words indicating man should be replaced. Chairman could be replaced with the chair or simply chairperson. So in today's session we talked about avoiding bias from the language, and that could be done when we avoid sexism related to gender, when we avoid racism or ageism, when we avoid talking about disability in a ridiculing manner. So we should adopt some such neutral language in academic context that could help us to and be more inclusive and to include more people instead of preferring or allowing exclusion. So, if you have any question related to this idea or the concept, you may reach me out through the comment section below. Till then, stay happy, stay blessed, and make this universe a better place. Bye bye. See you next time in another session.